Hey everybody, Matt Hartman here for Drunkard's Walk. So I am doing a little thing, and I don't know if it's going to work out or not. What we're trying to do during our break here is to check out some of our places, our destinations, where we went on our walks. Just over the years, not just this year, but any year. And where I am right now is Epcot. Remember when we went to Epcot? Well, we're there now. So, yeah, this is where I am. Now, if you don't know anything about Epcot, it is one of the 4 theme parks at Walt Disney World. And it was opened in 1982, but the planning for Epcot actually started way, way earlier than that. In fact, the original design for Epcot was Walt Disney's. Now, if you don't know this, Walt Disney died before Walt Disney World opened. He never actually saw it completed, but he bought all the land for it, and his whole plan was to build Epcot, which stood for the Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. Sometimes I've heard of Experimental Prototype City of Tomorrow. And the whole idea behind it was that they were going to have this whole city, essentially. And the theme park, what we now know as Magic Kingdom, was just going to be part of that. There were going to be, there's going to be a people mover, there was going to be a monorail, there were going to be all sorts of buildings and shopping. There was going to be an international place, like a courtyard type of thing. Not a courtyard, but much bigger than a courtyard. There were going to be all sorts of amazing things in this city. He thought he figured out urban development and urban planning better than anybody else. So he proposed Epcot. And it was going to be, like I say, the city that people lived in and worked in, and there was going to be outer parts of it. And there's a really great map of it that I'm going to try to show you a little bit later that is actually inside the Connections Eatery here. So anyway, when Epcot opened in 1982, it looked a little bit different than what Walt had planned. In fact, what it looked like was 2 theme parks that had almost been put together. We had the World Showcase, which is where I am now. And if you look behind me, you can see there's all kinds of different international places. That's Norway that I'm right next to right now. You can see there's China down there, I believe, or that might be Japan. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I'm the worst. And then we've got Italy, we've got the United States, of course, is over there somewhere. You can see there's the swan, that's the dolphin actually. Anyway, that's a hotel, that's not part of Epcot. So the reason that this happened is because they were trying to figure out what could they do with Epcot. Whenever they opened Walt Disney World, everybody kept asking them, hey, what's going to happen here? Where's Epcot? Where's this whole idea that Walt had? Because he had told everybody about it. He'd gone on television and talked about this amazing place that he was going to make. And they essentially figured out that they couldn't build what he wanted as quickly or maybe at all. So they were like, okay, well, we could do the World's Fair, the ongoing World's Fair, which is what essentially Future World is. Now, that's the part that I'm not in right now. It's very difficult to see from my perspective, so I'll try to show it to you later in the video here. And then they made, they were like, well, we could have the international portion of it, right? And so what they figured was, well, let's actually do both of these things. Let's put them together into one theme park. So that's how we got World Showcase and Future World. Now it's a little bit different. They've changed things up quite a bit. In fact, just over the past maybe decade or so, Future World has become a different place. It started out as very educational. There were a lot of things that were about energy, and there was a thing about the future and transportation and the history of communication. Now, the history of communication still exists. That is actually Spaceship Earth. But there's no sense in me really talking too much about Future World right now because I'm not there. So let me wait until I get over there and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But for now, let's take a look at the World Showcase. Now you can see a little bit better here, the World Showcase. Now there we've got Italy. It's behind that tree there. Can you see that? And there, the tower's under construction. We see the United States next to that. Of course, it's huge. It's right in the middle, because why not? There's Japan. So I was right about it being China before. That is Morocco, which was not here when it first opened. And there's France, okay? You see some hotels. There's the UK. And there you can see that is Canada, right there. And then there's the International Gateway. And here are a couple of foolish fools, okay? And then there's Mexico. barely see it behind those trees. And then we're back to Norway, like I said before. Norway, beautiful. You can feel there. That's where the Frozen ride is now. But it started as a ride called the Maelstrom. And then we've got China through there. And then there's Germany. And we're back to Italy. So now I'm actually on a ride at Epcot. It's called Living with the Land. It's one of my favorite rides. Kids think it's boring. I mean, it is kind of boring, but that's kind of one of the things that makes it great. And it takes you through the history of agriculture, and then it eventually takes you through...
Welcome to our living laboratory, where scientists from
living laboratory. So I'm actually in a greenhouse where they grow a lot of the food and the future that they eat here in Epcot, that they serve, like at the Garden Grill. This is here in the land also. Also, there's some cool stuff.
Papaya, bananas, cacao, coffee, and rice are well known around the world. These are just a few of the edible plants that have been an important source of nutrition for people living in the tropics. Many are rich in vitamins and minerals, while others are well adapted to growing in less than ideal conditions.
So it's a slow boat ride,
thrive in wet, swampy areas,
but it's one of the few educational things that remains here at Epcot. So that is Living with the Land, and one interesting fact about this that I heard is that when they were originally building this attraction, they I'm in the land pavilion right now, which is, you can see, looks a little bit like this. Kind of cool place. Soren is also in this same pavilion. They built the attraction Living with the Land, and they had all these plants, and one of the people that was touring it, I don't remember if it was one of the designers or it was one of the execs or somebody, said, "How are you going to pollinate all these plants?" And they said, "Oh, bees, we're going to have bees." And they said, "You're going to have people run through here on boats and you're going to have bees? It's not going to work." So they had to figure out another way to pollinate, and I wish I knew what the answer was to how they did that, and I don't know what it is. But one of the other things is that those boats initially had people in them that were giving the tour, instead of having like a recorded voice like maybe you heard in the background there. But they replaced that several years in, I believe. I'm not sure exactly when, but then they put a recording in, and obviously they could have less people that they had to employ. So there you go. All right, I'm going to take you a little bit around Future World now, which is no longer Future World because it's divided into neighborhoods, and it's Discovery, Celebration, and something else. And I'll show you that in just a moment. All right, so now we're in the kind of Future World part of this, which again is divided now into different neighborhoods. There's World Celebration, there's World Discovery, there's World Showcase. I'm pretty sure there's another one, but I can't remember what it is. So I'm standing right now by the statue of Walt Disney, and you can see behind him the big geodesic dome, and that is the ride Spaceship Earth. Now that's been here since opening day, but it has changed a couple of times. The narrator has changed, but originally the script was written by, now I'm gonna get this wrong, I think it was Heinlein, but it was one of the famous science fiction writers, and it's all about the history of communication. Now this area has changed quite a bit. This used to have two things on either side of it called Communicore East and Communicore West. There were places you could go in, and there were all sorts of like interactive things to do. There was like stuff about the future, and there was like touch screens before there were touch screens, and robots, and all sorts of really neat stuff. That all went away. They replaced that with Innoventions, which had similar types of things, but it was a little different, a little more kid-friendly. And then they tore that all down, and they built this whole Connections place. There's Connections Shop and Connections Eatery, and then on the other side they put up a thing that's called the Communicore Center or Communicore Plaza or something like that, and it's where they have stuff for the different festivals. The current festival is Flower and Garden, and they also have a show over there, an Encanto show, which I'm gonna guess is gonna move to Animal Kingdom eventually because they're building the Encanto ride over there, but I don't know, not really sure about it. So this area has changed a lot. Like I said, there used to be a lot of real educational things here, but now it's a little less of that. It's a little more of the theme park thrill rides and things along those lines. So there was a thing here called the Universe of Energy. Eventually it was called Ellen's Energy Adventure. Bill Nye was featured in it along with Ellen DeGeneres. And then they changed that and took that all out and moved it and changed it to Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. So it's a thrill ride now. There used to be a thing here called World of Motion that was replaced with Test Track. Both motion related, but World of Motion was more of a slow, dark ride. You went through and you learned about the history of transportation. Now it's like it's actually under development for its third iteration. But in the past, it has been a thing where you kind of like built a car, so to speak, and then you got to ride that car through these different test places, and then it would it was a fast part at the end, right? It was like the speed trial. So the other thing that they have, I said Connections, it's Creation Shop, excuse me, not Connections. They also have Club Cool in here. This is in that same thing that I was talking about building. Club Cool is a place where you can go and taste different Coca-Cola products from all over the world. I highly recommend the Beverly. Go check that out. There is also a pavilion here called Mission Space. It's the Space Pavilion. Now, Mission Space replaced Horizons, which was one of the most loved attractions. I really enjoyed it too, although I haven't been on it in many, many years because they shut it down. But it was like all about the future of humanity and where are we going to go in space and oceans and things like that. There's also the Imagination Pavilion. That's still around. It's called Journey into Imagination with Figment. It has changed numerous times as well. That's where Figment is. Figment's the little purple dinosaur or dragon, that everybody really likes. He had his pal Dreamfinder, so it's kind of changed up a little bit. It's not a very good ride anymore, but and then there's a big old pavilion that is the Life Pavilion. Now that has been empty for a long time. There was talk that it was going to become the Play Pavilion, but it has gone away. You can kind of see in the background here if you're watching the video. And it's like a big old dome, and they used to have in there a bunch of they had a thing called Body Wars. That's also where they had Cranium Command. And if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about that ride and about the theft of Buzzy, which is a famous Disney story, you should check out Bright Sun Films is releasing a feature length, I believe, video on YouTube about the theft of Buzzy. Go check that out because it's a fascinating story. But that pavilion is still there. It just sits there empty. You can't get in, you can't get out. Well, you can't get out, you can't get in, so why would you get out? And we don't know what they're going to do with it, if they're ever going to do anything with it, but hopefully someday they will. I think I've hit all the pavilions that are here in Future World. Not Future World, no longer Future World. But they also have these different neighborhoods have different colors, right? So there's a blue one, a green one, and a red one. And I'm in the red one right now, which means I should know what it's called. It's got to be Discovery, right? Maybe? I'm not sure. One of the cool things I will say about the Guardians ride is that it is built as though it is a pavilion for Xandar, which is the planet that they kind of go to they're protecting in the first Guardians movie. And there's like a Nova Squad fighter out front, and it looks very, very cool. But for me, I don't need thrill rides in Epcot. That's just my own personal opinion. So I'm not going to get too much into that, but that's just my feeling on it. So there you go. That is Epcot. What was one time called Epcot Center because they thought this was just going to be the center part of Epcot. They were going to build out from here. Never happened. It's never going to happen. So anybody who's still holding their breath to see what Walt actually wanted Epcot to be, keep holding your breath because it's never going to happen. So there we go. Hopefully you have enjoyed this, and hopefully I'll have another one for you. If not next week, then in a couple of weeks. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.